I'm going to go ahead and get a head start on supper for tonight. I'm going to put the pasta salad together and let it be sitting in the refrigerator. We're going to be making a meal with a lot of our vegetables that we're getting from the garden right now. Things are starting to come in, and we're going to use a lot of those for our meal tonight, and I thought I'd share it with you. I was actually going to do an all vegetable dinner tonight, but I have some preteen boys I could hear going, where's the meat? Now I am doing some things. We're going to do fried potatoes, we're going to do fried green tomatoes, and they really like those. A pasta salad, they really like that, so I think it'd been alright. But I'm going to do hamburger and beans to go with it so that they have some meat. We're going to do the pasta salad, which we're about to put together, and I wanted to share that with you because I put raw squash, yellow summer squash, in my pasta salad, and when I mentioned that last time, several of y'all were curious about that, so I want to show you how I do that. It's real simple. I was going to do fried squash or sauteed squash. We've had so much of that lately, though I decided we would put it in the pasta salad. And then I also thought about a squash casserole, but we'll save that for another day. I wanted the pasta salad, and so we're going to do what I say: fried green tomatoes, fried potatoes, pasta salad. We've got some green beans. I picked the first mess of green beans. We're going to break those and have those with our dinner. And then we'll have the beans, the hamburger and beans. And I'm going to make some homemade biscuits. I want to break into some of that blackberry jelly that we just put up. But we've also got some watermelon jelly that's open in the refrigerator that we need to use. So we'll see. I wanted biscuits with jelly. That's planned for dinner tonight. I'm going to get a head start by getting the pasta salad made and in the refrigerator. For the pasta salad, I got a thing of the Wacky Mac. It's like the veggie pasta. It's what my mama always used, and so it's what I usually get. And then I've got my squash. I've got some black olives. I need to go out to the garden and get an onion. We'll cut an onion up and put in it. And then I have some zesty Italian dressing. And it's really that simple. I'm going to get my pasta bowl and we'll go out and get us an onion. And I think I may go ahead and pick some basil too, and we could put some basil in it. And just a little bit of lemon balm and basil. This is a big one. Thank you. Where you going? Oh, hang on, I'll grab it from you. Thank you. Just dropped in some of those fresh herbs, the lemon balm and some of the basil. I don't always put that in there, but I've got it, so why not? I think it'll add a little extra something special to it. My olives. Then I'm just going to stick this in the refrigerator until my pasta gets done and cools down a little bit. Pasta is cooled down, so I'm going to put that in. Yeah. And then my Italian dressing.
Hi, Mom.
Yes.
I turned the
And I use almost the whole, I use probably about 3/4 of this bottle. Sometimes I'll even use the whole thing. I'll put some and then I'll come back a little while later after it's had time to kind of soak in. And I may add a little more.
Hey, Mom.
Yes.
I'll show him dinosaurs.
You're going to help with your dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll show them.
Hey, you want to put some of this in?
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and do the whole bottle. Put the rest of it in there. That's good. Thank you.
Huh? I want to do this.
Now let's put pepper in.
Okay, I want pepper in there. Okay.
Dump this right here in.
Okay.
Very good.
Mhm.
Now we gotta stir it careful. Make sure we don't throw it out of the bowl.
Mhm.
Ready?
Mhm.
That salt, pepper all
Yeah.
mixed in.
Yeah. Taco. 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 Got your new?
Yeah, we'll have it with supper.
Okay.
It's good.
How for that?
Another bite.
Yeah, that's. I'll pick red though.
You want the yellow one? What about a green one? That lemon balm adds a really nice touch to this pasta salad.
Hey,
Yes.
Mommy, that's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different, a different way to use some of that yellow summer squash that comes in. And you got so much of it that you don't know what to do with it. This is a little bit of a different way to use it.
I too.
Put them over here. Put the little ones over here.
Look, got two bitches. Okay, new. Hey, beep, beep. Say beep, beep. Hey, Mommy. Hey.
I'm going to go ahead and get the green beans going. I'll cover my green beans in some water. Maybe a little bit more. I may add some more as they're cooking. I'm going to let these go for a little while. I'll put a little bacon grease in there. I don't have much. I just cleaned my container out. Save the rest for my taters. Salt and pepper. Got some Italian seasoning, and I usually put that in my green beans, so I'm going to go ahead and put some of that in. And one of my favorite things to do is to put a little bit of red pepper flake in. Not enough to make it super spicy, but enough to give it some good flavor. I mean, the kids still eat it, but once I started doing that, I really liked the extra flavor that they had. All right, I'm going to cut this on, and these will cook for probably at least an hour. I'll show you how I'm making my biscuits today. I do biscuits a few different ways and change it up sometimes, but I'm starting with about 2 cups of self-rising flour, and then to that I'm going to add, I did equal parts butter and lard today. Sometimes I'll use all lard, sometimes I'll use all butter, but I did about 1/4 cup of each. And then I was using my fork to cut that into the flour, but my butter was still really, really cold. And so I got the pastry cutter out just to help that along. And then my milk, I never measure my milk. I just am looking for a consistency. I would say it's around 1 cup. Sometimes it can take a little more. Again, you're just looking for your dough to come together. And I'm using whole milk or sweet milk, as Mama and Papa would call it. You could use buttermilk if you wanted to. I just grew up watching them use sweet milk or whole milk in their biscuits, so that's what I do. All right, I put a little flour on my clean surface, and I'm turning out my dough. and I'm just going to work this enough that it comes together. You don't want to overwork it. You just want your dough to come together, and then I'm going to press it out to about a 1/2 inch thickness. And I have a biscuit cutter now that I use to cut out my biscuits, but I've used all kinds of things in the past. I used to always use a small cup, and I would just use the cup to cut my biscuits out. So use what you have, but I do have a biscuit cutter now. One of y'all actually sent it to me a while back, and I enjoy having it to cut my biscuits out, but you can use whatever you have. You can even cut these with a knife and make square biscuits if you wanted to. I'm going to cut out as many as I can, and then I'm going to work that dough back together so I can cut out a couple of more. And usually there'll be a little bit left over, a little dough left over, and I just form that last biscuit by hand. On my stovetop, I also have a skillet heating up with a little bit of lard in it, and I have my oven preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Those are some other things that can be variables for me. Sometimes I'll make my biscuits in a skillet like I'm doing today. Sometimes I'll put them on a baking sheet. I change the temperature that I cook them at, that I bake them at sometimes. I've kind of found that 400 degrees for about 15 minutes, especially in the skillet, seems to be just right. And I'm just taking a little bit of that extra lard and brushing it over the top, and I'm going to get those in the oven. I had some other things that I was working on in the kitchen too. That's what you saw me pull out of the oven so that my biscuits could go in, was my granola that I was working on. Now I'm going to work on dicing up my potatoes. These are some of our potatoes that we dug over the weekend. I'll put that harvest video down in the description box in case you want to see it. That was over on our other channel, Our Small Town Life, where we share more day-to-day life type content. I'll link that for you in case you want to watch it. And my biscuits were ready to come out of the oven while I was working on my potatoes. There they are. I'm going to get my potatoes diced up, and over in my skillet for my potatoes, I used equal parts bacon grease and lard today, just enough to cover the bottom just lightly. And I'm going to put my potatoes in that with some salt and pepper and get them frying up. I can always add in a little more grease as they cook if I need to. And I'm going to take my biscuits out of my cast iron skillet because I'm going to make my hamburger and beans in that same skillet. So I'll get those pulled out of that skillet so I can work on my hamburger and beans. Now for those fried potatoes here in my skillet, I'm going to go ahead and put my salt and pepper on them. And I cook them covered for the first, 10 minutes or so. I'll still stir them during that 10 minutes, but I'll put the lid back on, and that helps the potatoes steam and soften up. And then I'll take the lid off so that way they can brown and crisp up really well. And for my fried green tomatoes, we are slicing these tomatoes. Or I'm slicing these tomatoes. I say we're because you're hanging out here with me, right? I'm slicing them at about a 1/4 inch thickness. You want them thin enough that they soften up as they fry, but not so thin that they just turn to mush. Let me show you what we got going on. So here's our fried potatoes. I just did some bacon grease, some lard, the potatoes, salt and pepper. They're still cooking. The hamburger and beans really is as simple as browning the ground beef and putting your favorite baked beans in there. Sometimes I'll add barbecue sauce or ketchup, Worcester sauce, if I want to add some extra stuff to it. The green beans are ready. Our biscuits are ready. The only thing I got left to do is make some room on the stove so we can fry our green tomatoes. I'm just going to mix up a little cornmeal. Probably do half cornmeal, half flour with some salt and pepper. Dip these in it and fry them. Fun fact, Easton, and Hudson, they don't like tomatoes, but they like fried green tomatoes. I told y'all that I was doing cornmeal and flour, and I am, and I have some salt and pepper in that. But what I forgot to mention is that I do the cornmeal and flour, and then I dip it in an egg, and then back into the cornmeal and flour. and then over into my hot oil. And this makes a beautiful crispy coating on the outside of our tomato. You only have to fry these a couple of minutes on each side, and then as soon as I pull them out, I sprinkle them with a little salt. I'll show it to you all on a plate in just a second, but the potatoes came out of our garden. We picked them this weekend. Picked the green beans last night. Picked the tomatoes right before we fried them. Then the squash, the onion, and the herbs, and the pasta salad all came out of the garden. Then we got our hamburger and beans and our biscuits. Did I get everything? I think that's, oh yeah, the jelly. That sounds like a pretty good supper. Y'all get in the kitchen and make memories with the people you love. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Yeah. Bye, y'all.